Hello, and welcome to the Copper State Marching Podcast, sponsored by the Arizona Marching Band Association, AZMBA. I'm Aaron Vogel.
And I'm Mark Hodge.
And we're thrilled that you're joining us for our podcast. We'd like to thank our sponsors, MVP Apparel, Music and Arts, Vic Firth, Zildjian, Synced Up Designs, Milano's Music, Music for All, MacPack, Music Celebrations International, School Funder, Bravo Video Creations, and Yamaha.
The NBA Copper State podcast was created to bring together the Arizona marching band community. We wanted to use this as a dynamic platform to connect, educate, and entertain those involved in this wonderful activity, and to introduce our audience to some of our state's wonderful directors, staff members, and adjudicators, and promote our season's shows.
In this episode, we speak with Damon Knepper, band director at Ironwood Ridge High School, and Denise Hudson, WGAZ Hall of Famer and staff member for the Sun Devil Marching Band and the FeniX Independent Winterguards. Well, good morning. We want to take a moment here to introduce Denise Hudson, WGAZ Hall of Famer and staff member for the Sun Devil Marching Band and the FeniX Independent Winterguards. It's great to see you.
Good to see y'all.
For folks who are tuning in that might not know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and, specifically your background in the marching arts?
Sure. Well, I grew up in a small town in Iowa, and a lot of band director friends probably have heard of this place. It's Oskaloosa, home of CL Barnhouse Publishing. And Oskaloosa is a unique town where music was always at the center of the community. And so growing up, in the summer, we had concert band in the town square, in the oldest bandstand west of the Mississippi. And there was always a concert every Thursday night, and people would sit in their cars and honk their horns for applause and that sort of thing. Historically, Oskaloosa has been nationally known for their concert bands. They won the National Concert Contest in Chicago. And so, as I said, music was very important. I had some real innovative band directors that brought course style marching to Iowa with several people in the 70s. And it was kind of patterned off of drum corps, where we would have summer competitions that would eventually culminate in Bands of America in the summer at Whitewater, Wisconsin. And I participated in the first 10 years of BOA in Whitewater as a marching member and as an instructor. So I started spinning in 7th grade, and we would go on summer tours and participate in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, very much like the drum corps did. There were circuits and combines and that sort of thing. So that was my beginning, in pageantry art starting in 7th grade.
Oh, that's great. I was just in Orange City, Iowa. There was a competition there. How far is that away from where you grew up?
Oskaloosa is in the southeast. We're about 60 miles southeast of Des Moines. If you went Des Moines, Iowa City, and then Oskaloosa, we would make a triangle. Yeah, so.
Got it.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
I was really impressed
sounds
with the
like
band.
Oskaloosa was like the background for the Music Man.
Yes, yes.
That's really cool. Like as you were telling that, I was like going through the musical in my head, and I'm like, yeah, that could be there. Yeah, that could be there.
Yeah,
That's great.
it was
What a great
a great
place to grow up.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that summer band that you did, were you playing a musical instrument or were you in the color guard?
I was in the color guard. I played flute starting in elementary school. And color guard was kind of this new and exciting thing. I had, um, I've always done dance from a young age, tap and ballet and point, and gymnastics. So this just seemed like kind of you know, a next, uh, level of of thing for me. And I wasn't the greatest flute player, but I wasn't last year, but I wasn't first. So and it was the thing to do. It was color guard in our town. And when I started, we wore the belts, like the ROTC, and the VFW, and majorette boots with tassels
I was
and the
going to
whole
ask
thing.
that because
It's
that's what I
very,
envisioned.
it's very military.
Yeah.
So, I've seen the evolution of, the military style into the more progressive, the dance influence and that sort of thing. So, guys, I've been doing this activity for 50 years. Believe it
Wow.
or not, I started when I
Congrats.
was 13, so do the math.
Yeah.
I'll be retiring in a couple of years. So, yeah, so I've seen quite the evolution in the activity.
So can you give us a little bit about your role at ASU?
I'm very much a part of the team. Um, we uh, our primary goal with ASU is we're teaching teachers. And so, anybody pretty much that wants to or has, moderate skills can be on the team. And our job is to teach them what they need to know. And then we'd like to see our members as they graduate go on and become active in the community as instructors. So our primary goal is teaching them the skills that they need to um, continue on in the activity. Primarily, I'm a tech right now. I don't choreograph much anymore. Just physically, I've had three rotator cuff surgeries and over the years, so and carpal tunnel. So I don't spin as much, but I go 5, 6, 7, 8 and clean it up. And then we also do the you know auditions and game day ops for the band. So it's very much of a team effort by all of us there.
Well, we saw the recaps, or not the recaps, but a bit about the game this weekend, and it seems like ASU is off to a great start. Is that
Oh
right?
my goodness, 5-1. Yeah,
Amazing.
Coach Dillingham is doing a great job. um
He's a little bit
the games are
excitable,
fun and
isn't he?
exciting again. So yeah, it's a good time.
Where's your next game? Here in
Our,
Tempe
our
or away?
next game here is BYU in a couple weeks, I think, or it might be. I'm not positive. It's We're doing a Veteran Day salute, but more importantly, um, it's Alumni Band Day, and we're doing a tribute to Coach Fleming, who passed this summer. And we have well over 300 people signed up for Alumni Band. Um, so we're looking very much forward to renewing old friendships, making new friendships, and paying tribute to a man that was very important to this program for almost 30 years.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
left such a great legacy. I think Mark's probably this too. We have a shared connection in that Coach Fleming was the band director of my band director, Steve Peterson, and we're
Oh,
talking about him.
And mine too.
Yeah, and March,
Wonderful.
I was
Yeah.
at Tempe High back in the 80s when he was the director at Tempe High, and we went to Midwest. So,
Yes.
So his philosophy just passed down over time. Well, that's great for alumni to come out and then celebrate the legacy of Coach Fleming. And if folks in the Valley haven't been to an ASU game, I want to encourage you to check that out. Support the team and support the band. And check out.
Yes, absolutely.
The next question is one that I think you're very unique to, that you can speak to, is what advice do you have to band director wives?
Oh gosh. It's a little bit different for me because I am involved in the activity, so I really have an understanding of what Jim's job is, and the pressure and the just the time commitment. I think number one is be supportive. Understanding and communication is really vital to that relationship. It's important to carve out that time for your relationship away from the activity, finding something that you enjoy together that isn't the job. Keeping a good calendar is really, really vital. Our son, Aaron, is involved in the activity too, but there was a time in his life when it was sports and soccer and golf and all of that. And it's just, maintaining priorities of the family. It's not easy. You guys know. But I'll tell you, we just had a WGI convention in San Francisco, and I attended a session by Matt and Susie Harloff, and talking about this very topic, and a lot of what they said, it's like, well, we do that. I think it's just finding what works for you as a family, but number one, support and understanding.
How many years have you been married?
Oh gosh, we got married in 81, so 43 years.
Amazing. Congrats.
Isn't that crazy?
That's great.
Yeah. I won't say it's been all smooth sailing, but it's been fantastic. Yeah.
Well, communication, a calendar. And then you said that you had some interests outside of the activity. What are some of the interests that you and Jim like to do outside the activity? I know you're going shopping for a car this afternoon.
We are. I've been without air conditioning in my car for a couple weeks, and we've just sunk too much money in it. But something we really enjoy is antiquing. And our house is full of antiques. All of our furniture. We just really enjoy the quality of old antique furniture. We have glass collections. We just actually remodeled our kitchen, and I had lots of cabinets put in for all my antique dishes. So
there you go.
So we have, Jim's mom's dishes. I have, all sorts of, I have my mom and dad's wedding dishes, what they got when they got married, and we use that daily. And, it's
really good staying attached to your
something
history.
that we love. So
it's really good staying attached to that history, family history of quality, and like it is important. My wife and I actually like to do antiquing also.
Awesome.
So we're paring down a little bit, but we did get more cabinets when we moved to Phoenix. So we might be able to stuff a few more in there.
Yeah, it's something, maybe in retirement, one of these days, we've talked about doing an antique booth or even online and that sort of thing, but it's something that we really enjoy doing together.
Oh, that's great. And then, one of the things we were thinking about here as we were prepping for the call is just how, how busy you and your husband are. The busy college band schedule, travel, Phoenix, your judging schedule, WJZ, and your family life. How do you balance all those different elements?
Um, well, as I said earlier, keeping that calendar so we know where each other's commitments are. Um, on top of that, I take care of my mom, who is in a senior living facility. We moved her down here from Iowa several years ago. So, and she's, entering that stage where the dementia is setting in and that sort of thing. So there's a commitment there as well. Um, I- Honestly, I've stepped back a little bit from ASU. I'm not there at all rehearsals all the time. Um, like on choreography days, music Mondays, where we teach a lot of choreography. That's a day that I usually with mom while our choreographers, teach the work for the next upcoming show and that sort of thing. Um, I think it's just having a good support system. Um, you know, uh, Jim likes to cook, so he cooked some meals on Wednesday nights when after he gets home, from band, and I've got a sectional afterwards. I come home and dinner's ready. Um, we just share a lot of the household responsibilities, and sometimes you just let things go. you know,
Mhm.
you try and put family first always, um, and uh, and then just take it day by day. Really,
Find the little things to be happy with, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
They don't have to be big gestures. Just coming home and realizing that there's a hot meal ready, and that you're not ordering DoorDash, or, that the cat box has been changed, or, the bathrooms have been cleaned for you. So, just, having that teamwork is really, really important.
That's great.
Let's move a little bit into AZMBA questions. What shows are you doing for AZMBA this fall?
I'm doing Canyon View and Buckeye.
For championships with Buckeye? Or no,
Um,
before championships, you're right.
the week, yeah,
Week
before. Yeah, that
Right.
first weekend, I think in November.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think actually both Mark and I will be there with you at that show.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you like most about working at AZMBA shows? What are some of the great things that you can say about it?
Well, number one, I really like the camaraderie of the judges. Everybody's friendly, everybody seems to know each other. Um, I think Lance is so supportive, of all of us and making sure, that we have what we need education wise. Um, and one thing that I think is unique, to ACMBA is the INE. And I really think that that gives kids, um, a place to shine, um, goals to set, opportunities to improve their individual skills. Um, you know, I just think that, that's really important, I think, to benefiting the programs as a whole, is creating a stronger individual. So, so I do like that aspect.
Yeah, the INE thing is great, and that's something that I even remember as a high school student. Our local circuit, where I grew up, had INE for the indoor group,
Oh, uh-huh.
and that I never worked as hard in my life as preparing those snare drum solos. You wrote them yourself, so you got that
Right.
composition piece, and then yeah, you just you went after it to try to win gold in I&E. So that's
That's
awesome.
right. That's right.
That's
Yeah, well, I
great.
can't wait to see you at that show. That's going to be cool. Well, we've done this thing at the end of our podcast, which is just, do you have any shout outs that you'd like to give, positive praise or anything that you'd like to say as we end the call?
Oh, absolutely. There are several people that have been instrumental in my life. Paul Brizzi, um, William Van Devender, who was my junior high band director, um, Bill Ballinger. I don't. These folks probably mean nothing to you. Um, of course, my husband Jim, who's been, a rock for, the last, since I've been 17 years old, and when we met in college, he's always been very supportive. Our son Aaron, um, Brandy DeBose, who I met in Texas when we were at then Southwest Texas State. It's now Texas State. I met her as a student, and I brought her in as a choreographer. And she's kind of been like the daughter that we never had. So Brandy's been, a great support system for us as well. And I've seen her grow from, a 20-year-old through, through to now, being the mom that she is, and the person that she is even outside of the activity. And there's just so many people, along the way that have really been supportive and given me opportunities. And, I wouldn't be where I am today without those people that I mentioned and the numerous people that we don't have time to mention. So
That's great. And I think for the folks that are listening to the podcast, just to realize the impact that they have. So a band director from 40, 45 years ago,
absolutely.
your spouse, and then even a student. So if there's any students who are listening, just those connections that you make with your now teachers could evolve into being a colleague relationship where you're working beside them on
Absolutely.
a team. That's great.
Yes.
Well, and it's also great to get to know instructors like you and Hall of Famers that have the core values that they give to all those people that they're around in the activity and even outside the activity, which helps it grow. And when you have those great core values at the center of it, and that's what those kids, those students, those teachers all take from that, that's a great legacy for you and Jim to leave.
Thank you. Oh, I do want to mention Teen, and just the support that he gives me as the administrator for WGAZ, and previously Kim Moss, who did a lot for WGAZ over the years. There's just so many. There's so many, but I did want to give shout outs to those two.
Great.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Denise, for taking the time this morning, and we wish you the very best. And in this case, go ASU.
That's right. Go Devils. Woohoo!
I can do it. I think
Can
I
you
can
do it, Mark?
it.
Is your hand
Yeah.
your hand's gonna like burst into flames
It's okay.
for people
It's
listening.
all
Mark
good.
was
I'll do it
attempting
for a
to
great
do the
person
flips
next
up.
we had some pretty lean years there, so
Yeah.
yay.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you
All
for
right.
your time.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, guys. See you, Buckeye.
Yeah, see you soon.
Yeah.
Hey, we would like to welcome Damon Knepper, the band director at Ironwood Ridge High School in Oro Valley. Welcome, Damon.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate your time.
Hey, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. And Can you tell us a little bit about your background and introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely. So thanks again for having me on the podcast. I've been a huge fan of the first two. And my name is Damon Knepper, and this is my ninth year as a teacher in the classroom. And I've been at Ironwood Ridge High School since 2016. And I had the privilege of getting to student teach there and then start off as the percussion director and orchestra director, and got to work alongside this guy right here with Mr. Hodge. And he helped mentor me. And when he retired, I was able to step in as the director of bands in 2021. And I've been here ever since. So this is year 4 for me as the head director. And I'm a percussionist, and I've had a little bit of everything in terms of curriculum for orchestra, guitar, and also music production, which I think is a unique thing that Mr. Hodge started when I was student teaching, and it is alive and well. So I still get to teach one of those classes in addition to my current concert band, jazz band, and marching band classes.
Oh, that's cool. So you do concert band, jazz band. You used to do orchestra, but that's not on your plate anymore, that kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
and you're doing one of the music production and technology courses.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
tell us a little bit more about that class. I don't, that is a pretty unique thing in our state. What are you up to there?
It's super fun. So I get to teach with one of my great colleagues, Mr. AJ Lepore, and I actually teach the beginner level. So it's music and audio production. And the scope of the class is we have a lot of students that want to learn about music, but maybe more about modern music, not necessarily go through the classic training that we do in our wind ensemble and percussion ensemble and marching band classes. And we focus on what is sound, kind of starting with the really macro approach, and we get into sound waves, decibel levels, sound pressure levels, and actually a lot of the physics of sound. And right now we're doing what's called signal flow, which is where you're actually inputting sound through a microphone, through cables, what's inside the cable, how it works, into now mixers. And later today, we'll be starting speakers and how those work. And then the second semester is mainly making beats and composing music in Ableton after we've gone through some pretty basic theory and chord progressions with the kids. But it's a really just fun place to be. And I think it's a nice way to break up my traditional conducting throughout the day with a little bit of beat making in the laboratory, as we call it.
Yeah, that's very cool. And obviously Mark has that experience because he started that program there. And then I taught two sections of music production and technology when I was teaching in Fort Collins, and I love that. The kids were really creative, and you serve, yeah, some non-traditional band kids, like kids that might not be in the traditional band courses. Then you're also reaching those kids with music and with creativity. So that's really cool.
And sometimes you get them back in the classrooms, back into drama, into band, into orchestra, into choir, because they get over their eighth grade transition coma and come back to music by going through that class sometimes. So
Exactly. We do have a lot of crossover, not only with band and orchestra and choir, but also with musical theater. We actually are in the midst of our fall musical right now. So we have some kids that kind of are involved in uh, different live performances that are not happening with the band, orchestra, and choir program. But it's very holistic, and I think it's a nice way to get students into the program, as well as some of our students learning to record themselves for auditions. Even, all state jazz auditions are coming up, being able to make yourself sound as good as you can for future auditions for college and such.
that's great. So, what are you looking forward to this year? Like, when the big picture of the year outside? Not, I mean, we'll talk about marching band, but like, what are you looking forward to this year? And are there any special events or concerts coming up?
Yeah. This is a special year we've been talking about as a faculty as well as a band program. This is our first year where I've had students that have been in high school all 4 years post-pandemic.
Mhm.
And as we know, as teachers, we've really had to kind of find new pieces of our teaching toolkit the last few years and really take an introspective look on what's important and how we frame things and scaffold things. And I think for me, that's been a theme with my staff as well as my students is how are we reframing what we do? And it's okay to find alternative pathways to find success, and also redefining what success is for our program. We have some pretty neat events happening. I will say now that it's public, I think there's some other Tucson bands doing this. We were selected by the University of Arizona to do a world premiere of a wind ensemble piece in the spring, and it is going to be in collaboration with the School of Music, and it's going to be over watershed and water conservations, and all those great things that are important for the desert. And there's going to be some narration, and it's going to be premiering in the spring with us. And I believe there's 4 or 5 other Southern Arizona high schools, but I just got info about that and we were accepted. And so that's going to be happening for us in, I believe, late April, right after State Festival for Concert Bands. So I let the kids know and I've let the parents know, and we get to be part of a world premiere with a couple other groups and for a really good cause.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Is that those other Southern Arizona groups, will you combine to make a mass ensemble, almost like an honor band for that performance?
It sounds like from the emails that there's going to be similar to like a consortium. It's going to be, I think, 5 or 6 different sites. But we will have the composer and people from the University of Arizona come out and workshop with us in January or February. And it sounds like it's going to be a multi-site premiere, just kind of whenever your end of the year concert is. So for us, that's the first week of May. And we will have a chance to have the composer come out. But I don't think, because of how many hundreds of kids are doing it, I don't think it's going to be everyone together for this piece. But I'm really excited to get to meet the composer and have some people come out from the Department of the Department of Sciences from U of A, and sustainability as well.
Is the do you know the composer's name? That sounds really cool.
I have not yet. I haven't reached out to them just yet. We're working with Professor Fraker and Professor Glazer at U of A. They reached out to me, the clarinet and oboe professors. So I'm looking forward to get in contact with the composer. It sounds like it's a doctoral student at U of A. So just something different.
Oh, that's great.
Cool.
All right, so let's get to the marching band part. What's your 2024 show entitled, and what's the show concept and musical structure? Or, excuse me, the musical selections.
Absolutely. So we've talked for years and years about being able to do some Latin jazz, because I'm a percussionist and I learned a lot about Latin percussion in college in my drum set studies. And I have a really great drum set performer and drumline currently. And so our show is called The Night Garden. And we decided to use kind of an eclectic amount of repertoire. So I'm really big on, when we design shows, kind of finding pieces of music that I really like, and a lot of times designing the show almost, some would say, kind of backwards, like aligning the concept to the rep. And so our opening is a hip hop piece by the jazz fusion group called Phony People, and it's called Why I Love the Moon. And we were going to use this about 4 years ago for one of our productions, and it got sidelined. And it's come up in design meetings every year since then. And I was like, this is the year we're going to use this. And our show's about a garden at night. And so that flows into what's our opener, which is Nika's Dream by Horace Silver. Great Latin jazz charts, a standard. And we decided to be devious and keep it in the original key of D flat, just because I was working with transposition and it just didn't sit right, sitting in a different key. So we've really been working the key of concert D flat, which has been a challenge, but it's been making the kids a lot better, doing a lot of stuff out of the habits book with the key of concert D flat to reinforce that. And then we have our ballad, which is a really neat piece that is probably the most well-known piece. It's An American in Paris by George Gershwin, 100th anniversary of the piece. We're using the famous trumpet solo from the section that's kind of the reflective section with the brushes, and it's very lyrical, but we decided to put it on trombone. And I'll get to that in a sec, because that has to do with our storyline. And then our closer is entitled Night by Ludovico Einaudi, and that is a piano, modern piano piece. And I've really liked that for years and years, and it's been, once again, kind of kicked around. And so the show kind of all fit together from a repertoire standpoint. And the storyline of the show is, if you've seen it, our kids are bugs. Specifically, the band proper are dragonflies, and the guard are luna moths. And on the field, we have kind of gardenified the entire field. So we already have the green, and then we have kind of a porch prop that we have flowers on top of, and there is a bug zapper that happens to be on this prop. And we were trying to figure out a way to make the show have a bit of conflict because 9 minutes of just being in the garden, I don't know if that would be, from a storyboard standpoint, as strong as having a little bit of conflict and drama, right? Because we all like that in our show. And we decided the show starts off and it's being narrated by an AI version of Dave Attenborough, which is pretty neat. So if you've seen Blue Planet or Planet Earth, you're going to recognize the voice. And we have him narrating basically an episode of Blue Planet. The bugs come out at dusk. There's kind of it's kind of the magical whimsicalness of what happens in the garden at night. And so the bugs kind of make a like a jazz quartet on stage. They have a good time. Everything's happening. We're getting ready for this magnificent flower that's going to bloom on the field. And then the bug zapper turns on and it throws the whole show for a loop. And the bug zapper hypnotizes the kids. And it's our percussion feature. And that's original music by myself. We call it Zap. And that has been such a huge crowd reaction this year. We do have, without giving too much of the show away, if you haven't seen it, a student does touch the bug zapper and they get shocked. And that student happens to be our trombone soloist for American in Paris. And so we thought, how funny would it be to have that very famous trumpet solo, but on a trombone with a bunch of glissandos? And he's kind of, he's been shocked and toasted a bit.
So
So
I just got to get this straight in my mind here for a second. So you have basically a big prop that looks like one of those electric bug killing devices.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the show yet. I can't wait to see this. And there's a kid who then touches it and like he gets electrocuted. So okay, interesting, man. Well, that I can't wait to see that. And that trumpet solo is iconic. And that's something I love about the Marching Band activity is, kids get to play other people's solos. So you can play, yeah, this cool solo that was on trumpet, and now your trombone player gets to do it. I'm sure that makes the trombone player here on the call happy that you get to.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I actually saw on Saturday and was thrilled with his body movement. His acting after zapping was awesome, spot on. Yeah, and he fell without hurting his trombone, which was a miracle in of itself.
yes, lots of reps on how to fall in a way like a stage way while protecting the trombone. We're actually working on getting a trombone stand so he can kind of ham it up a bit more for future shows. But we happen to have a very dynamic and very boisterous lead trombone this year, and we
trombone player with the personality, unheard of.
Yeah, who thinks of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it all worked out. And for the closing, since we will be putting that last piece of our show on the field for March the Ridge, I won't give too much away, but I will say there are more surprises and there will be a giant flower that blooms. We were just spending the first couple hours of today. Because it is a holiday, I had a lot of students absent. So we kind of were doing some arts and crafts and band today. And we have a bunch of huge flowers that we've built, and we are building our blooming flower as we speak.
That's awesome.
Gotcha. So you think that that closer will be set by your home show on October 26th?
Yes, sir. It'll be the debut of it. We'll have the whole thing, and we're really looking forward to it. Just getting, on our home turf, getting to show off what the kids have been working on for the last 3 months.
Yeah, it's cool.
So you're saying your show's almost in full bloom, right?
Pun intended. Yeah. Well, talking about your home show, I saw that you're going to be, obviously you're hosting bands, and we just saw that there was an incredible amount of enrollment. Will you talk to the enrollment at your on your campus for your home show?
Mm-hmm. It's extremely exciting, Aaron. This is, like I said, year 9 for me being at Ironwood Ridge, and I can't remember us having this many bands since probably 2016 or 17. So this will be our first time as an AZNBA hosted show that will have 24 bands. And that's really special for us. We have a large campus, so we've been prepping our boosters and our volunteers to be ready for that many bands. And we're also hosting I&E. So we're going to be really on the clock from about 9 a.m. until midnight. And we're just really excited to share our campus with so many groups. There's some groups traveling pretty far to come down to our site, and that just means a lot to us. So thank you to the directors that are attending.
Oh, that's cool. And you guys have it's a gorgeous campus. If anyone hasn't been out there, it's just stunning. I remember going out there my very first year teaching for a football game, and just the desert landscape as you get there, kind of, I would call rolling hills.
Yeah.
And then you just get
Tangerine.
into the mountains. Awesome. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's great. Well, we like to end each of our podcasts here with just some shout outs. So if you've got any shout outs to give, go for it.
Absolutely. I've got a few people I want to shout out. First, I want to shout out the Ironwood Ridge band program for just being so awesome. And I am just privileged, as every other director is, to get to be in front of such a great group of kids. I want to also shout out my amazing design team and my amazing educational staff that we have. We are very consistent, have kind of had the same staff really since Mark and I were a duo years ago. And I just need to constantly praise them, because the behind the scenes work that they're putting in every rehearsal, as every staff does, is sometimes unseen. But I just want to tell thank you to them. And then I also wanted to shout out my administration, as well as my band parents and volunteers, especially with such a large show coming up, and also just coming back from Bands of America and making that whole big trip happen. I really could not do that without their support. And then most importantly, I wanted to also give a shout out to my wife, Catherine, for as we all know, during Bandtober, we're not at home a lot. And she's a former band kid herself, a clarinetist. And I'm just really privileged to have such a wonderful wife that supports me and lets me be here with the kids sometimes 100 hours a week doing the band director thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to band wives,
Oh,
supportive
yeah.
admin, the kids, the parents. It's great. Well, that's so good. Thanks for joining us today, Damon. We really appreciate it. To our audience, we really hope to see you at our upcoming events in the next few weeks. We've got the Canyon View and the Pinnacle shows. They're coming up on Saturday, October 19th. And then the Agua Fria and the Ironwood Ridge show are on Saturday, October 26th. The Pinnacle show and the Ironwood Ridge show will also be hosting an individual and ensemble competition that you really won't want to miss. These are fantastic shows, and we just hope to see you there.
Yeah, we'd also like to hope you can join us in the next podcast, where we speak with Chad Shootman, Director of Bands at University of Arizona, and Matt Kozak, Band Director at Campo Verde, and also the President of ACMBA. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. Have a good one.